My name is Nova Chen, and rain has a way of telling the truth in Seattle. It slicks over glass and steel until the city looks honest. No filters, no pretense, just gravity and water pulling everything down to ground level. That Friday, it pulled me down with it. I'm 26, an eco-home architect with a studio that smells like cedar dust and coffee grinds. I rent a narrow unit above a bike shop in Fremont. There's a big corkboard on my wall with strings connecting ideas: rainwater capture, mass timber, mycelium insulation, modular cores you can assemble like Legos. I call the project Cedar Nest. It's the kind of design that makes people lean in. It's small footprint, adaptable, beautiful in that quiet, Pacific Northwest way: cedar cladding, exposed cross-laminated timber, roofs that drink the rain and feed vertical gardens. I built it from the leftover hours after day jobs that paid for oatmeal and bus fare. So when the betrayal came, it felt like someone took a knife to something I'd grown with my own hands. It was raining sideways, of course, when I got the text from Ray, a friend who works in venture scouting. Nova, you seeing this? Link. Screenshot. Another screenshot. The first image was a pitch deck cover with a bold, sans-serif title, Greenhaven Micro Living, a Scalable Future. The second was a slide labeled Design Overview, and my breath stopped. Because it was Cedar Nest. Not inspired by, not adjacent to. It was my render: the same angled skylight, the same rain chain path to a cistern disguised as a planter box, the same butterfly roof, even the damn fern I kept in the foreground for scale. The company name at the bottom corner, Verdant North LLC. The founder, Orion Hale. A developer with a permanent 5 o'clock shadow and a smile like a glass door, inviting until you walked right into it. We'd met at a sustainable design mixer 2 months earlier. He'd said all the right words: affordable, community-led, climate justice. He'd asked if I ever consulted. I'd sent him a teaser deck. Not the whole thing, the safe version I show to developers when I'm sniffing for a fit. It had watermarks, low-res renders, and that tidy notice at the bottom. I registered the full plans that same week, time-stamped, hashed, everything backed up to cloud and cold storage. But I'd also been flattered. And that's how thieves get in. Through unlocked doors, you mistake for compliments. My studio light flickered as I opened more slides. The materials page used my annotated diagram, right down to my hand-drawn arrow that curves like a question mark. Except my logo had been cropped out, and in its place, Verdant North's leaf badge sat like a smug sticker. "Ray," I typed, fingers shaking. "Where did you get this?" she called. "No, hello. Nova, he's pitching this at HarborWorks tomorrow. Brunch pitch, 40 investors." I saw the deck in a scout group and almost spit my latte. I stared at the rain, streaking the window like score marks. I sent him a teaser. "But it's mine," I said. "I know. How sure?" "Nova. The cistern planter box." I pressed my thumb and forefinger into my eyes until I saw electric purple. Then I let the breath out slow, like I was deflating. "Okay," I said. "Okay." My brain tried to bargain. Maybe he'd meant to credit me and forgot. Maybe the deck was internal and someone leaked it wrong. Maybe. But the slide with team sent the maybes straight to hell. His headshot. A biz dev guy. A chief of product I'd never met. No mention of me. Then a slide with pilot sites, showing a map with pins across neighborhoods I'd scoped quietly, like a kid hiding candy. He shouldn't know those. Unless he'd read my captions. Unless he'd screenshotted everything. The anger came up hot and clean, surprising me with how steady it felt. No tears. Not yet. Just a soft, dangerous clarity. "Ray," I said, voice even. "What time is the pitch?" "Doors at 10. Pitches start at 10:30. Can you, I don't know, do anything? Do you have protection?" "I have protection," I said. "Because if I build houses, I build fences too." A year earlier, after a different suit had asked to pick my brain, and then showed my prototype to a cousin with a 3D printer, I'd gotten serious. I'd learned the unsexy side. IP registrations, digital fingerprinting, watermarks embedded so deep they ride the code of the pixels like DNA. I had version history. I had hashes. I had a timestamp ledger I could drop on a lawyer's desk like a brick. But legal is slow. Pitch decks are fast. I stood and paced the studio, weaving through a maze of foam models and tape measures, and a half-assembled rain chain on the floor. Outside, a bus groaned. A couple argued about umbrellas. In here, the air buzzed with the static of too much caffeine and not enough sleep. "How do you want to play this?" Ray asked. I pictured myself storming the pitch room, shoving a printout in Orion's face like a courtroom drama. I pictured asking questions during Q&A that would make him sweat through that linen shirt he always wore. Then I pictured the reality: a woman raising her voice while a smooth-talking man raises his eyebrows. 100 phones in the air, recording drama. No, I needed to be precise. "I'm going to make sure anyone who sees that deck knows it's stolen," I said. "You want me to keep my eyes on the investor chat?" Ray asked. "If the deck moves, I can flag." "Yes, please." And he asked quired. After we hung up, I turned to the ritual I trust when my chest feels like a crushed can. I cleaned. I cleared the drafting table, wiped the dust, rolled up the spare plans, lined up my pencils until they looked like vertebrae. I made coffee strong enough to strip paint. Then I sat and opened the folder called Cedar Nest Proof. My cursor hovered over a file named Registration, Cedar Nest, Packet, PDF. I exhaled and opened it, the way you open a parachute. Copies of my filings, the confirmation email from the Copyright Office, a PDF from a third-party timestamp service with a tamper-proof hash, a notarized statement from my mentor, June. Yes, we did the formalities verifying that I presented the plans in a design review on specific dates, complete with attendance. Backing that, the raw files in their original formats. Layered PSDs with my messy midnight notes. CAD files with object histories. A Git repo for the parametric roof geometry. Every save, every fork. Every commit message with my favorite bad jokes. If a judge wanted the bones, I had a skeleton. But I wasn't trying to win a case tomorrow. Tomorrow, I needed to scare off investors. I drafted a thread clear, not shrill. Screenshots of my original work with embedded metadata visible. A timeline. When I created, when I registered, when I shared a teaser under NDA. The NDA was a simple, mutual confidentiality email chain, but it counted. Then Orion's deck, with my watermarks faint but traceable after a color level tweak. I recorded a short, calm video, walking through the overlaps. In the video, my voice sounded like someone I'd trust in a storm. I pinged June. "Call me?" I typed. She picked up on the second ring. "Hey kiddo," she said. "Why do you sound like you're grinding your teeth?" I explained. There was a long inhale on the other end. "He always gave me double handshake vibes," she said. "Too eager." "Where's the proof?" "In your inbox," I said. "And I have a plan. I want to publish a forensic breakdown. I want to push it to 2 architecture media folks I know. If investors Google him mid-pitch, I want them to find me." June was silent for a moment. "Good," she said. "Smart. Keep it clean. No adjectives he can use against you. Just facts and dates." "I can do facts," I said. "Also," she added, "don't go alone tomorrow." I thought of the room, the clink of glassware, the click of the mic, Orion's easy baritone as he pitched my soul back to me. "I won't," I said, though I had no idea who would go with me. We hung up. My phone buzzed again. "Ray, investors in my chat say Orion sent the deck at 5:12 p.m. today," she said. "He's hungry." "Then let's make him choke," I said, and surprised myself by smiling. I posted the thread to my site. I time-stamped it. I queued it for publication at 10:20 a.m., 10 minutes before pitches began. I drafted emails to 2 editors at architecture media outlets, people who cared about design, ethics, and clicks in equal measure. I gave them a clean story. A developer allegedly passing off an architect's work. Receipts attached. I offered comment, and a live voice if they wanted quotes. If I was going to war, I wasn't bringing just a sword. I wanted spotlights and a chorus. At midnight, I pushed my chair back. The studio was all quiet, metal, and tired wood. I looked at Cedar Nest's latest model. Tiny rooms that breathed like lungs, a roof that curved like a smile trying not to be smug. I'm not going to let him take you, I told it, because my brain personifies buildings the way others name their cars. On my phone, a new email slid in with the weight of a stone. Subject: Urgent cease and desist notice. From Orion Hale. I opened it. The letter accused me of defamation and misappropriation of proprietary concepts. It claimed Verdant North had independently developed a modular eco-home strategy and that my public statements would cause irreparable harm. It demanded I remove all false content within 24 hours. There was a PDF attached on letterhead from some downtown firm that loved serif fonts and intimidation. I let out a sound that wasn't really a laugh. Defamation, the last refuge of the cornered. My heart wanted to sprint, my head told it to jog. I forwarded the email to June with the subject line, LOL. Then I typed a reply to Orion. Short, professional. A single sentence that made my fingers steady again. Dear Mr. Hale, thank you for your note. Please see attached proof of registration, creation dates, and identical design elements. I'll be at Harbor Works tomorrow and would be glad to address any confusion in person. I attached the packet. I hovered over send, feeling the rain hammer the city like a drum line. Click. A minute later, Ray texted, new rumor. He added a co-designer to the deck. A woman, not you. My stomach dropped through the floor. Name? I typed. Don't recognize. But, Nova, the headshot is familiar. Familiar how? Familiar like a stolen photo? Familiar like... I pinched the bridge of my nose, forcing myself to breathe. Outside, a siren wailed and faded. In my email, another message arrived. From one of the architecture editors. If you have receipts, I can run something in the morning. Can you talk at 9 a.m.? I stared at the time. I stared at the model. And then my phone rang again. Unknown number. Hello? I said. A woman's voice, flat with guilt, filled my tiny studio. Nova, it's Lena. We met at Orion's office last month. I think he's using my face in your place. The room tilted. What do you mean, using your face? I asked. There was a pause, then a shaky exhale. I mean, she said, I never agreed to be on his team, but my headshot is on his co-designer slide. And Nova, he's not just pitching your plans tomorrow. My fist tightened around the phone. What else? I asked. He's pitching your pilot site list. And the investor he's meeting after? He's the kind who doesn't take no for an answer. The world clicked into a new, sharper track. Because if Orion had my map, then he had more than my drawings. He had my neighbors, my communities, my trust. I looked at the published timer on my site, and I knew exactly what I had to do at 10:20. I had to make the room burn without lighting a match. Morning hit like a mallet. Seattle light always feels gray, but that morning it felt personal, like the sky was leaning down to press me flat. My eyes had only closed for maybe 2 hours. Coffee didn't touch the fog in my head. My stomach kept twisting, like it was trying to warn me what was coming. At 8:59 a.m., I clicked the Zoom link with the editor from Archscope, a site with just enough reach to blow holes in someone's pitch. His face popped up, Dan, messy hair, wire glasses. He wasted no time. Morning, Nova, I read your packet. It's a bomb. I don't want drama, I said. I want the truth to be louder than his lie. He nodded, scribbling notes. This is airtight. Creation dates, file histories, registrations, honestly. This is the kind of story our readers salivate over. David versus Goliath. Architect versus developer. I don't want to be David, I muttered. Doesn't matter what you want. You already are. The only question is when we hit publish. You said 10:20? Yes, 10 minutes before the pitch. He raised an eyebrow. Dramatic timing. I'm not here for dramatic, I said. I'm here to cut off his oxygen. Dan leaned closer. Then you'll get your wish. I'll schedule it. My editor loves a scandal. When the call ended, I sat with my hands pressed against the ceramic mug until the heat burned into my skin. I kept hearing Lena's voice from the night before. He's using my face. I needed her. I needed her story. On record. So I called. Nova? Her voice was softer this time. Are you still in? I asked. Silence. Then. Yeah. I can't let him do this to you. Or to me. Then meet me outside Harborworks, I said. We go in together. Harborworks was one of those slick co-working event spaces that smelled like cold brew and ambition. Big windows, steel beams painted matte black, a lobby lined with succulents in geometric planters, like someone had ordered eco-chic in bulk. Investors floated through in tailored jackets and sneakers that cost more than my rent. I spotted Orion immediately. He was magnetic in that fake way, easy smile, navy blazer, hair combed like he'd just stepped out of a GQ spread about young disruptors. People orbited him, laughing at things that weren't funny. Beside me, Lena adjusted her scarf like armor. She had sharp cheekbones and nervous eyes, and seeing her in person confirmed what she'd said. Orion had yanked her LinkedIn headshot and pasted it into his team slide. I felt my jaw lock. Ready? I whispered. No, she admitted, but let's go. We slipped into the back row of the presentation hall. Chairs in neat rows, screen glowing Verdant North's logo, mic set up at the front. Investors murmured like a tide. At 10:15, Orion stepped up, flashing his teeth like the show had already been won. Good morning, he said smoothly. Thank you for being here. Today, I want to introduce you to a future where housing isn't just sustainable, it's scalable, affordable, community-rooted. The projector clicked. The deck came up. And there it was, my cedar nest render, stretched on a 30-foot screen. The audience leaned forward. Phones lifted for photos, and for a moment, I felt physically sick, like I'd been gutted. But then, my phone buzzed. Archscope just published, Architect's designs allegedly stolen by Seattle developer receipts tell the story. It was live. Right on schedule. I turned my screen slightly so Lena could see. She grabbed my arm, whispering, "Oh my God." Up front, Orion kept talking, pacing like a TED Talk disciple. Each module is built with mass timber, integrating rainwater capture and vertical gardens. They're designed to breathe with their environment. We call it Greenhaven. He clicked. The team slide appeared. His headshot, his biz dev guy, his fake chief of product, and Lena's face staring out under the title co-designer. I watched Lena physically recoil. Ladies and gentlemen, Orion said, our team is dedicated to reimagining how we live, work, and build together. Phones buzzed in the audience. One investor frowned down at his screen. Another leaned over to whisper. Orion faltered just slightly before moving to the next slide. I could almost feel the room shifting under him, oxygen thinning out. By 10:25, half the front row was scrolling, not listening. I knew what they were reading. At 10:27, Ray texted, "Investors are dropping from the group chat like flies. He's toast." But Orion kept pushing, voice getting sharper, too fast. And then came Q&A. A man in a tan blazer raised his hand. "Mr. Hale, could you clarify something? There's an article circulating this morning suggesting these designs belong to another architect. How do you respond to that?" Orion froze for a fraction of a second. Then he smiled, practiced, and polished. "Thank you for that question. Unfortunately, in any industry, people make claims when they see success. Verdant North's concepts are developed independently, and we stand by our originality." I felt rage climb my throat. Before I could stop myself, I stood. My voice cut the air. "My name is Nova Chen. Cedar Nest is my project. I registered every design. The timeline is public. You're looking at stolen work." The room went dead silent. Heads swiveled. Cameras rose. Orion's smile cracked for the first time. And then his mic squealed as he tightened his grip. Miss Chen, he said, louder now. This is not the place for baseless accusations. Security? Two staffers near the door looked uncertain, frozen between remove the disruption and watch the drama. Investors stared, rapt. I raised my phone. Baseless? Check the metadata, check the timestamps. It's all published. Gasps scattered through the room like sparks. Orion's jaw tightened. And then from beside me, Lena's voice. Shaky, but strong enough to carry. He used my face on his team slide. I never agreed to be part of Verdant North. I can prove it. The ripple that went through the room was seismic. Investors leaned back, murmuring. The tan blazer guy actually laughed under his breath. Orion's mask slipped, just for a heartbeat. His eyes darted to Lena. And I saw something flash there. Panic mixed with anger. And that's when I realized he wasn't just afraid of losing this room. He was afraid of something else, something bigger than investors. And I had no idea yet what it was. But I was about to find out. Because when I walked out of that room, a man in a charcoal suit stepped into my path. No name tag, just a quiet, polished smile. Miss Chen, he said smoothly. Mr. Hale would like to speak with you privately. Off the record. The man in the charcoal suit didn't blink. He blocked the exit like a bouncer at a nightclub, except his posture was too calm, too corporate. His smile was tight, rehearsed. I don't take private meetings with thieves, I said, brushing past him. But he shifted, smooth as oil. Miss Chen, you misunderstand. This isn't about theft. This is about resolution. A settlement. Settlement. The word tasted bitter in my mouth. Behind me, investors were already peeling away, muttering, checking their phones. The pitch had imploded in real time, but somehow Orion still thought he had a play left. I don't need a settlement, I said. I have the truth. His smile didn't move. Truth is negotiable. Money is not. I almost laughed. Money. If I wanted money, I wouldn't be living above a bike shop, sketching modular rainwater systems at 2 a.m. on a desk I'd built from salvaged doors. No, I said flatly. I turned. Lena caught up, eyes wide. Nova, do not go with him. The man's voice dropped low. Miss Chen, if you walk away now, you'll regret it. Mr. Hale has partners, the kind who do not appreciate, but then Ray's voice cut through the crowd. There you are. She barreled in like a rescue mission. Big scarf, oversized glasses, one of those chaotic presences that always feels like she belongs in every room. She slipped her arm through mine, glaring at the suit. Sorry, buddy, Nova's with me. We've got an interview to catch. The suit's jaw twitched, but Ray tugged me past before he could finish his sentence. Outside, the air smelled like salt water and diesel from the harbor. My knees shook so hard I had to lean against a lamppost. Thanks, I whispered. Ray shrugged. Always dreamed of dramatic rescues. She studied me. But Nova, who the hell was that? I don't know, I admitted. But he wasn't staff. He was something else. Lena crossed her arms. I told you. Orion isn't just after investors. Whoever that man is, he's proof. This isn't about money for Orion. It's about power. Her words lodged in me like splinters. We regrouped at a cafe 3 blocks away, brick walls, Edison bulbs, overpriced scones. My laptop was out, tabs exploding across the screen. My proof thread going viral, Archscope's article trending, architecture, Twitter, tearing Orion apart in real time. But none of it felt like victory. My stomach kept circling back to that man in the suit, the way he'd said partners. Lena stirred her coffee like it had wronged her. I met Orion through a design meetup. He said he wanted feedback. He asked about my background. Then he started probing about my portfolio, my contacts, where I'd worked. When I didn't give him access, he ghosted. And now my face is on his slide deck. Identity theft to make his con look real, Ray muttered. That's some Silicon Valley level sleaze. I rubbed my temples. But if his investors are pulling out, why chase me down with lawyers and suits? Why not just cut losses? Nobody answered. I pulled up Verdant North's website. The splash page still had my render, but traffic was flooding the comments section with links to my proof. The page looked like it was collapsing under the weight of the receipts. Good, Ray said, peeking at my screen. He's toast. But Lena shook her head. You don't get it. People like him, they don't toast. They pivot. By mid-afternoon, the emails started. A venture scout forwarded me a thread. Orion pitching to private investors, moving fast, trying to salvage a round. A community organizer DM'd me. He's contacting neighborhood councils about pilot sites using your maps. And then, the worst. A text from my mentor June. Nova, I just got a call from a developer friend. Orion is claiming you stole from him. He's pushing that narrative hard. Watch your back. The room tilted. He's flipping it, I whispered. He's turning me into the thief. Ray slammed her palm on the table. Classic abuser move. Make the victim look like the aggressor. Lena's hand shook around her coffee cup. And with money behind him, people will listen. My phone buzzed again. A blocked number this time. Against my better judgment, I answered. Miss Chen, Orion's voice purred, too calm. We should talk. I froze. We have nothing to talk about. Oh, but we do, he said. You've made noise, impressive noise, but noise dies down, money doesn't. Here's my offer. You take a quiet payout, we call Cedar Nest a joint project, and the investors stay happy. Or I make sure every door in this industry slams in your face. Every grant, every client, every publication, you'll be radioactive. Nobody will touch you. My chest went hollow. You think you can erase me? He chuckled. I already started. Click. The line went dead. I sat there, phone still against my ear, as if I could force the call to undo itself. Ray leaned in. What did he say? I swallowed hard. He gave me a choice. Sell out, or disappear. The table went silent. The cafe noise blurred around us, milk steamers, laughter, the clink of plates like we were trapped in glass. And then Lena said something that made my blood run cold. He doesn't care about Cedar Nest. He cares about controlling the story, which means he's hiding something bigger than a stolen design. I looked at her. What do you mean? She hesitated, biting her lip. Then, she leaned forward. Because I've seen the files on his hard drive, and Nova, Cedar Nest isn't the only thing he stole. I froze. What do you mean you've seen his files? Lena's voice dropped, almost swallowed by the cafe noise. Orion showed me once. He wanted me to consult on a different project, but he left his laptop open when he stepped out to take a call. And Nova, it wasn't just your work on there. He had entire folders labeled with other people's names, architects, designers, engineers, all neatly organized, all stolen. Ray's eyes widened. Like, a library of theft? Lena nodded. Exactly. A vault. Designs from Portland, Vancouver, even Berlin. He's been collecting concepts for years, scraping them, branding them as Verdant North, and pitching them to investors who don't know better. My stomach nodded. So, Cedar Nest isn't just one betrayal. It's part of a system. Exactly. Ray leaned forward, whispering like she was narrating a spy thriller. So this isn't just revenge. This is exposure. We burn the whole operation down. I shook my head, trying to process. We don't even have proof. Just Lena's word. I can get proof, Lena said quickly. I still have access to his office. He invited me to a follow-up consultation next week. If I go, I can get back into his laptop. I know his password, he typed it in front of me once. The air crackled. That's dangerous, I said. It's also the only way, she shot back. I looked between her and Ray. Ray was buzzing with the idea. Lena was deadly serious. And me? My hands shook so badly I had to grip my mug. Nova, Ray said carefully. He's trying to destroy your name. You can't just play defense. You need to hit back harder than he expects. And if we get caught? I asked. Lena's jaw tightened. Then, at least the truth won't die quietly. That night, I sat in my studio, surrounded by models that suddenly felt fragile. Cedar Nest stared at me from the drafting table, like it was waiting for me to decide whether it lived or died. I thought about Orion's voice on the phone, so smug, so sure he could erase me. And I thought about every late night, every design, every hour I'd poured into making something that wasn't just pretty, but possible. I couldn't let him take that away, so I called Lena. "I'm in," I told her. Her relief sounded like a shaky exhale. 3 days later, Ray drove us across the bridge in her beat-up Subaru, the dashboard rattling like loose bones. The plan was simple, at least on paper. Lena would go in for her consultation, excuse herself for a bathroom break, and plug in a flash drive we'd prepped. The software would copy Orion's vault files, metadata intact. I waited in the car, fingers tapping the armrest so hard it left red marks. Ray sat beside me, scanning the building with binoculars she absolutely didn't need. "Relax," she muttered. "We're not in Ocean's 11. "Feels like it," I shot back. Through the glass doors, I saw Lena step in. Orion greeted her with that same glassy smile. His hand touched her shoulder just a fraction too long, and my stomach turned. Minutes crawled. 10, 15, 20. My phone buzzed, once I'm in his office. Then, silence. I couldn't breathe. Finally, another buzz. Plugged in, copying now. Ray fist pumped. "Yes!" I clutched my phone like a lifeline. But the next message made my blood freeze. "He's coming back. Too soon." I texted fast. "Pull out. Leave it." But before the dots appeared, the line went dark. No more messages. I sat in that car, staring at the building, heart hammering like it wanted out of my chest. "What happened?" Ray whispered. "I don't know," I said. Then, through the glass, I saw Orion step back into the office. His smile was still there, but this time, it wasn't for show. It was the kind of smile that says, "I know exactly what you're doing." Through the glass, I saw it all play out like a slow-motion nightmare. Orion leaned casually against his desk, smiling that smug shark's grin. Lena stood frozen, one hand hovering too close to his laptop, like a kid caught stealing candy. Even from the parking lot, I knew. He'd caught her. Ray swore under her breath. "Shit, he knows. What do we do?" I couldn't move. My brain was a siren. Every instinct screamed to storm in, drag her out. But if I barged through those doors, I'd walk into whatever trap he'd just sprung. The next 30 seconds stretched like chewing gum. Orion said something calm, too calm. Lena nodded, too fast. Her hands shook as she pulled her bag strap higher on her shoulder. Then Orion stepped closer, blocking the doorway. That was it. I threw the car door open. "Nova!" Ray hissed, but I was already running. Inside, the office smelled like polished wood and ozone. My heart hammered so loud I thought the walls could hear it. I turned the corner and found them. Lena stiff as a mannequin, Orion between her and the door. "Ah," he said smoothly when he saw me. "Speak of the devil." His voice dripped honey, but his eyes were knives. "I was just telling Lena how unwise it is to snoop where she doesn't belong." "Funny," I said, forcing steel into my voice. "That's exactly what I've been saying about you." His smile twitched. "Just a crack." "Nova," Lena whispered, eyes wide. I held my hand out. "Come on, we're leaving." Orion didn't move. "No one's leaving until we clear this up." "You've been very loud, Miss Chen. Articles, accusations, social media, impressive campaign. But you've crossed a line. Do you really want to escalate?" I didn't flinch. "Try me." For a beat, it was just the sound of my pulse and the faint hum of the fluorescent lights. Then, Orion sighed an exaggerated, disappointed sound and stepped aside. "Go," he said softly. "But understand this. Every war has casualties. Choose carefully who you're willing to sacrifice." His words followed us all the way to the elevator. Back in Ray's car, Lena clutched her bag like it was a shield. "Did you get anything?" I asked. Her face crumpled. "No." The transfer didn't finish. I panicked when I heard him coming. Ray slammed the steering wheel. "So we risked everything for nothing?" "Not nothing," I said quietly. Now we know he knows. And he's scared enough to play mind games. But inside, I felt like I was unraveling. Because Orion wasn't just playing defense anymore, he was baiting us, testing how far we'd go. And worst of all, I had no idea how much he already had on us. That night, my phone buzzed with a new email. No subject line. Just a single attachment. A photo of my studio window, taken from across the street. The caption, "Nice model you've got there. Would be a shame if someone borrowed it too." I sat in the dark, staring at that photo until my skin crawled. Orion wasn't just coming for my work, he was coming for me. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow outside the window, I thought of Orion standing there with that smug smile, watching. The photo had been taken through the drizzle. My cedar nest model glowed faintly inside the studio, caught in the frame like prey. He wanted me to know he could reach in and take it whenever he wanted. At 3 a.m., I texted Ray. "He's escalating. We need to counter." She replied in seconds, because of course she was awake. Then we fight louder. Public. Bigger stage. By morning, the story had spread beyond architecture circles. A local paper picked it up. A design podcast DM'd me, asking for an interview. My inbox was exploding with strangers, some cheering, some skeptical, some warning me to watch out for big money. And in the middle of it all, a message from Orion himself. "Enjoy your 15 minutes, Nova. They end today." At noon, Ray barged into my studio, tossing 2 coffees onto the drafting table. "Pack up your best renders," she said. "You're going live." "What?" "I booked you on a stream with Eco Design Weekly. They pull like 50,000 views on a slow day. You need to own your narrative before he twists it further." My stomach nodded. "I'm not a performer, Ray. I'm an architect." She gave me a look. "Today, you're both. If Orion wants to burn you down, you better make sure the whole world sees who's holding the match." The stream felt surreal. Bright ring light, my sketches taped to the wall behind me, a host with perfect hair and too much energy. "So Nova, your story's going viral. Tell us in your own words, what happened with Verdant North?" My throat went dry. But then I thought about the model in my window, the photo, the way Orion had said casualties, and the words came. I told them about Cedar Nest, about the sleepless nights, the vision of homes that drank rain and grew green, about meeting Orion, the teaser deck, the theft. I laid out the receipts, the dates, the registrations, the forensics. No drama. Just truth, clean and sharp. The chat scrolled like wildfire messages of outrage, solidarity, anger, but then a username popped up that made my blood chill. Verdant Truth. Ask her about the lawsuit she lost in Portland. Ask her who really owns Cedar Nest. The host glanced at his producer off-screen, confused. Nova, do you want to respond to that comment?" I froze. "What lawsuit?" The host looked at his notes, frowning. "We've had an email come in claiming you were sued last year over intellectual property." My pulse spiked. This was Orion, planting seeds, spinning the story. "That's a lie," I said firmly into the camera. "I've never lost a lawsuit in my life." He's fabricating history to distract from the real theft. But I knew how doubt works. A single seed could sprout fast in the wrong soil. After the stream, Ray paced the studio like a caged animal. He's already poisoning the well. If he controls the narrative long enough, people won't care about the facts. "He wants to bury me under noise," I said. "Make it impossible to tell truth from smear." Lena called just then, voice shaky. "Nova, I just got an email too. From Orion. He says if I don't back him up publicly, he'll reframe my involvement to investors. He's threatening to make me look complicit." The room spun. "He's isolating us. Classic strategy, divide and conquer." Ray slammed her coffee onto the table. "So what's the play?" "Because right now, he's winning the fear game." I looked at Cedar Nest's model, sitting in the corner like a wounded animal. "We stop playing defense," I said slowly. "We stop just proving he stole from me. We prove he's been stealing from everyone." Lena's breath caught on the other end of the line. "The vault." "Exactly," I said. If we get those files, it's not just my word against his anymore, it's a pattern, a history, a crime. Ray's eyes lit up. Then we blow it wide open. But before I could breathe, my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Photo, my studio door. Wide open. Message. You're already too late. I stared at the photo on my phone. My studio door. Wide open. Ray. My voice cracked. He's been inside. We tore through the streets in her rattling Subaru, my mind a blur of worst-case scenarios. By the time we pulled up, my building looked normal. Too normal. The bike shop below was still open, the neon sign humming. But my door upstairs, it was ajar. Ray held me back. Let me go first. No, I said, pushing past. It's my place. The studio was a crime scene dressed in silence. My models were scattered, paper plans shredded under boot prints. My corkboard had been ripped down, string and thumbtacks scattered like guts, and on the drafting table, the cedar nest model. Smashed. The sight hit harder than any punch. I'd built that model piece by piece, shaping it with patience the way you shape a dream. Now, it was splintered wood and scattered greenery. Pinned to the wreckage was a note, written in marker. Stop before you lose more than paper. My stomach turned cold. Ray cursed under her breath. He's escalating into intimidation. I swallowed the lump in my throat. This isn't intimidation. It's a message. He wants me to know he can reach me anywhere. My phone buzzed again. A new message. Video attachment. I pressed play. Orion's face filled the screen, lit by some sleek office glow. His voice was calm, steady. Nova, you think you can expose me, but you're not playing chess, you're playing checkers. My partners don't lose. They don't care about your little proof packets or your heartfelt interviews. They care about control. And if you keep this up, they'll come for you. Not with lawyers, with silence. You'll vanish from this industry like you were never here. The video ended with his smirk. Ray paced like she wanted to punch a wall. This is mafia-level shit. But my rage finally burned hotter than fear. I looked at the wrecked model and felt a clarity sharper than glass. No, I said. This is desperation. He wouldn't trash my studio unless he was scared. That vault is real, and if we get it, he's finished. Ray stopped pacing. Then we steal the damn vault. Lena's voice crackled through on speaker when I called her. I can still get in. I know his office schedule. He's hosting a dinner pitch tomorrow night. If we move fast, we'll have a window. A heist. Not just defense anymore. Offense. I looked at the ruins of Cedar Nest and felt the fire rise in me like a second heartbeat. Then tomorrow, I said, we end this. The next night, everything moved like a movie. I couldn't pause. Lena slipped inside Verdant North's office with her ID. Ray and I waited in the alley, hearts thudding in sync. Minutes passed, then a buzz on my phone, laptop unlocked, copying files. I gripped Ray's arm. She's in. But before relief could settle, headlights swept the alley. A black SUV. Too clean, too deliberate. 3 men in suits stepped out, moving with the precision of people who never fumble. Ray whispered, "Oh shit." The tallest one looked straight at me, no hesitation. "Nova Chen, you're coming with us." I froze, heart pounding. The suits closed in like shadows with shoes. Ray moved in front of me, small but fierce. "Back off," she snapped. They ignored her. One reached for my arm, but just then, my phone buzzed. A notification from Lena. Got it. Sending everything to cloud backup. Proof secured. I looked at the suits and smiled, for the first time in days. "You're too late." The tallest man's jaw clenched. "Do you even understand who you're up against?" "Yeah," I said. "Parasites." And I just turned the lights on. He stepped closer, but Ray shoved her phone in his face. The screen glowed with Archscope's Twitter feed, already exploding with a new headline. Exclusive. Developer Orion Hale, accused of multi-year design theft, files leaked. It was live. Lena had done it. The suits froze, calculating. They weren't here to make a scene. They were here to scare me. And now, with the truth spreading faster than they could contain, they had no leverage. Without a word, they turned, climbed back into their SUV, and vanished into the night. Ray let out a laugh that was half hysteria, half triumph. Holy hell, Nova. You just burned the house down. The fallout was instant and merciless. Verdant North's website vanished within hours. Investors issued statements about due diligence failures. Orion went dark on socials, but leaked emails showed him begging for damage control. By the end of the week, Arch Daily, Dezine, even The Guardian, ran pieces on the biggest design theft scandal of the decade. And in every story, my name was there, not as a victim, as the architect who fought back. The first time I saw Cedar Nest trending, I cried, not from sadness, from relief. But not everything was victory laps. My studio was still wrecked. The smashed model stayed on my drafting table for weeks, a reminder of how close I'd come to losing it all. And Orion? He didn't vanish. Rumors said he skipped the city, maybe even the country. His partners never surfaced by name, but I knew they were out there circling, waiting for their next prey. The fight wasn't over. Not really. But Cedar Nest had survived. And so had I. One evening, weeks later, I rebuilt the model. Piece by piece, like I was stitching my own skin back together. Ray sat on the floor, drinking wine straight from the bottle, while Lena sketched new ideas beside me. You know, Ray said, you could have taken his deal. Cashed out. Disappeared quietly. I set a beam gently into place. And let him do it again to the next architect? To Lena? To someone who doesn't have proof? Silence. Then Lena whispered, "You're braver than I am." I shook my head. Not brave, just stubborn enough not to let him write my ending. The rain started outside, steady and soft, washing the city clean for one more night. I looked at Cedar Nest, standing again under my hands, and I knew revenge wasn't about destroying him. It was about protecting the work, the dream, the future. And the future was mine. Final resolution. Orion lost everything. Investors blacklisted him. Architecture media called Cedar Nest a case study in design resilience. Nova gained credibility, not just as an architect but as a fighter who wouldn't be erased. The lesson? Sometimes, the only way to defend what you've built is to burn the lie to the ground, louder, brighter, and faster than the thief ever expected. And sometimes, revenge looks a lot like survival.